Stats. I love stats. No, not those ones. Those are for nerds. These ones, they're for geeks. Or weebs. They're better. Just look at how absolutely OP Netero is. Jesus Christ. Ever since I came across the concept of quantifying a character's various properties numerically, I was rather enthused by the notion. Despite never being much of a numbers guy in any other way, shape, or form, I'm a linguist now, so numbers are evil anyway. When I first saw the databook stats on Narutopedia, I was ecstatic. It was so fun going through all of them, seeing how the characters improved over time and in what aspects. Some got smarter, some got faster, while others stayed pretty much the same throughout. I knew a lot of them by heart and would spend way too much time statting characters from other series, comparing and contrasting their abilities with those of the characters from Naruto, and even coming up with my own criteria for different shows. But then, a little while ago, I decided to look them up again, having had a few beers and wanting to go on a little nostalgia trip. I might have had a playlist of the openings in the background, I don't remember really. But what I do remember is being quite taken aback by some of the things I saw. So, what I'm gonna do now is try and share some of the funnier, or more interesting aspects regarding these given character statistics. Alright, very quickly before we get into the meat of it, some framing for those unaware or who might have forgotten. The first 3 of the 7 existing Naruto databooks contain stats for many of the then relevant characters. There are 8 categories that measure a character's proficiency going from 1 to 5. Those categories being ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, intelligence, strength, speed, stamina, and hand seals. The maximum overall score a character can have is 40. As an illustration, here are Shino's stats. The first databook measures the stats a character possessed at pretty much the very beginning of the series. The second one is around the Sasuke retrieval arc, and the third one near the beginning of Shippuden. For a bit of reference, an average lower tier character by the time Shippuden and the third databook roll around, stat-wise mind you, are approximately around 22 points. Characters like Choji, Tenten, and Kiba fit this category. Mid-tier characters come to about 27. Characters like Naruto, Sakura, Neji, etc. And finally, top-tier characters average at around 32.5 points. These would include characters like Sasuke, Kakashi, most of the Jonin, all of the Akatsuki, and so on. Also, as a disclaimer, these numbers are by no means exact. As I said, I'm a linguist. And a lazy one at that. With that out of the way, let's begin. First off, can you guess which of these pairs of characters, since it's a tie, have the highest overall stat line? Are they Sarutobi and Orochimaru, Itachi and Jiraiya, or Kakuzu and Kisame? The answer is Itachi and Jiraiya, with a whopping 35.5. If I manage to do some basic editing, their stats should be on the screen. As you can see, Itachi's main issue was with stamina. I like to think that Kishimoto accounted for his debilitating illness by doing this. Plus, it does track with what we could see in the series proper. Were it not for it, Itachi would probably have had the highest stat line by a solid margin. But then again, maybe Kishi also accounted for Jiraiya being past his prime. Maybe all of the 4.5s would have been 5s, some 10 or 20 years prior. We can only speculate. Now, can you guess which character has the lowest overall stat line? Choji, Sakura, or Tenten? The answer is Choji, with an underwhelming 13.5. In the first databook, Choji has a 3 in ninjutsu, 2 in taijutsu, a 0.5 in genjutsu, a 0.5 in intelligence. My god! Listen. Everyone called Naruto an idiot, but he at least had an intelligence score of 1 at the beginning. I'm genuinely surprised Choji could eat and breathe at the same time. Holy. Also, the fandom has speculated about this for a very long time, but that thing on his head might actually have been his goddamn underwear. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh, in addition, from what I could notice, he's the only character whose stats decreased at some point. His overall score did increase. However, his hand seal score went from a 0.5 to a 1 between the second and the third data books. His fingers probably got too thick to actually weave any hand signs. Nah, I'm kidding. I like Joji. Let's move on. Going along with the 0.5 theme, unsurprisingly, Lee has a 0.5 in ninjutsu throughout the databooks, and a 1 in hand seals as well. Which is to be expected, he'd most likely have acquired at least the basics while at the academy. The thing that did surprise me a bit was that his genjutsu proficiency increased from a 0.5 to a 1 between the second and third databooks. I'm guessing he probably learned to dispel simple genjutsu, hence the increase. Although that is pretty much the extent of what Naruto could do genjutsu-wise, yet he went from a 1 to a 2 in the third databook. On the topic of taijutsu and hand seals, another very surprising entry in this regard was Haku. His taijutsu proficiency was given a 1. I cannot be the only one that was taken aback by this. The dude's really fast and pretty damn skillful, apparently on the level of a Jonin. I mean, I know his Kekkei Genkai is his moneymaker, but I thought he handled himself a bit better than someone with a 1 would have against Sasuke during their brief hand-to-hand. Before Sasuke floored him. One more thing that surprised me, though significantly less, was his 4 in hand seals. It's an impressive score, don't get me wrong, but considering he can weave hand signs with a single hand, I expected it to be a bit higher. Though when you take into consideration that Kakashi could barely notice Itachi weaving any hand signs at all, due to his speed, and Itachi does have a 5 in that category, it's not that surprising. Another thing that caught me off guard was Neji, specifically 2 things. First, his intelligence score of 3. No, that's not bad. It's above average, sure. But, do you know who also has an intelligence score of 3? Naruto. Naruto does. The guy that was always called dumb or an idiot has the same intelligence as the genius of the Hyuga clan. Oh, the hypocrisy! Okay, seriously, this was a combination of both me expecting Neji's intelligence score to be higher and Naruto's lower, so I found it hilarious when I first saw this. Even more so when I learned Tenten has an intelligence score of 3.5. Maybe if she had a solid 4, she'd actually have learned to do something. The second thing regarding Neji, I was for a solid decade absolutely sure that he was a wind-style user. You remember that whole air palm or vacuum palm, depending on the translation, thing he used during the Gaara retrieval arc? Apparently that was just pure chakra, or an extension of the gentle fist fighting style, I guess? His actual nature affinities are fire, earth, and water. Alright, sure, why not? Continuing on with subverted expectations, did you know that Hidan, the guy that uses exclusively a scythe on a whip to fight, and utilizes exactly 1 jutsu, has a 5 in ninjutsu, but a 4.5 in taijutsu. I, for one, did not expect this in the least. Maybe his curse technique does indeed require immense jutsu mastery. I never took Hidan for that kind of a character, but alright. Oh, and he also has an intelligence score of 3. Alright, let's end it off with this. Which of these characters do you believe has the lowest overall score? Iruka, Anko, or Ebisu? The answer is... Anko and Ebisu, 'cause they're tied. 'Cause Iruka has a higher score than both of them. 'Cause Iruka is solidly a mid-tier character stat-wise. Orochimaru really needs to pick his disciples more carefully. One's a failure, how did she not recognize him? And the other killed him. Yeah, I guess that's why he decided to just make new ones. Both Anko and Ebisu have a total score of 25, while Iruka, by the third databook, has a score of 26. I personally was flabbergasted. Especially by his intelligence! Screw the Nara clan, why aren't any Uminos leading strategy meetings? Interesting thing regarding Anko is that her genjutsu is higher than both her ninjutsu and taijutsu. She really does make the worst decisions, my god, her fighting style does not reflect that in the least. Well, unless all of her snakes were actually illusions. Oh my god, maybe her always perfectly fitting coat was actually a genjutsu that whole time!
How is your coat staying in the exact perfect position at all times?
The FCC, kid. The FCC.
I tried to give her something. As far as Ebisu is concerned, I simply wanted to note that this dude has a strength score of 1. Do you know who went from a 0.5 in the first to 1.5 in the second data book? Ino did. Keep in mind, this is still pre-Shippuden. My god, Ebisu, my dude, do some push-ups. Holy hell. Okay, I lied. One more thing I have to mention. Do you know who has a strength score of 3.5? Chiyo. Chiyo does. Do you remember Chiyo? The badass granny from the Gara retrieval arc? She has a strength score of 3.5. Do you know who also has a strength score of 3.5? Kakashi. The 73-year-old, not even 150 centimeters tall granny, weighing at 39 kilos, has the same strength score as Kakashi in his prime. What the f***?